Tonight on 6 News, a tornado rips through a cemetery, toppling several graves. Why the markers aren't covered by insurance and who's stepping in to pick up the bill.
And calling attention to a typically simple task, what Johnstown city leaders found when they spent a day in wheelchairs.
6 News, coverage you can count on, starts with severe weather Team 6 coverage.
Hurricane Michael is a monstrous storm, and the forecast keeps getting more dangerous. We are now just hours away from seeing impacts.
Hours away, Florida residents bracing for Hurricane Michael as it strengthens in the Gulf. The now Category 3 storm is still on track to make landfall tomorrow, but its effects could be felt in the next few hours. Good evening. Yesterday's message was get out now. Today's message, get out faster. Don't wait any longer. An evacuation order in place for much of the Panhandle as hurricane force winds 100 miles per hour or more are expected to make their way tonight. The storm is already hitting Cuba's coast with strong winds and heavy rains. Flooding over the weekend there caused 13 deaths. Here in the U.S., a state of emergency has been declared in 35 Florida counties, which will activate 2,500 members of the National Guard. It's not just the wind and rain they're preparing for, it is the storm surge. It's something officials have been cautioning about now for days. Florida's governor saying today it's not something anyone can hide from. He says it's not a matter of if it will happen, but when. And as we said, that Hurricane Tony now a Category 3.
Very strong storm, Jen and Tim, and it continues to move north between 10 and 15 miles per hour. Winds is sustained here at 120, continuing to move north, likely to make landfall around Panama City close to lunchtime tomorrow. During the wee hours of Thursday morning, 2 a.m., situated over southwestern Georgia as a tropical storm. This is when the rain aspect of the storm will take over as being the big story throughout Georgia, South Carolina, and North Carolina. There will be a stripe of over 8 inches of rain with this as it makes its way off to the east-northeast. Thursday afternoon over South Carolina, racing through North Carolina. The good news is it does pick up forward momentum. Also, the good news with this is it bypasses us off to the south on Thursday. So we will get some rain, but nowhere near what's going to happen off to our south and southeast. Back to the 70s and 80s this afternoon. Sunshine, a couple of clouds, more so now from the south and southwest, rolling off to the north, a storm system off the east coast, and also Michael in tandem throwing clouds and moisture off to the north. And eventually we will get that rain in here later tomorrow evening and tomorrow night. At the bus stops for tomorrow, starting off very warm again in the 60s, partly to mostly cloudy skies right into the afternoon, upper 70s. We'll time out the rain and the big cool down coming up in just a few moments.
Continuing coverage now on last week's tornadoes in Jefferson County. We showed you the damage caused to the Jefferson Cemetery in Baxter Clover Township. Tonight we've learned the cemetery does not have insurance coverage for wind damage. Fortunately, the board says several people are already stepping up to help out free of charge. The board tells us a few businesses are also offering assistance to reset the fallen grave markers and that work will be done in the coming weeks. An EF2 tornado hit that area 1 week ago.
Happening now, a regularly scheduled borough meeting in Chester Hill, Clearfield County. But tonight, state authorities are on hand to answer questions about flooding. Several homes in the town of Chester Hill were damaged last month after torrential rains drowned the region. Since then, residents say the aftermath has been the worst. They say a strong odor left from the debris has forced some of them to leave. Borough officials told us last month their hands were tied until PEMA finished assessing the damage. A developing story tonight in Jefferson County where police say they've arrested 2 men in a child predator sting.
Brookville police haven't said much other than they have arrested the men after a 3-day investigation with help from the district attorney's office. And tonight we've uncovered their identities through criminal complaints. Documents say Michael Day was arrested over the weekend, James Moore on Monday. Documents say both men are accused of talking sexually and planning to meet up with what they thought was a 15-year-old girl. Documents say it was actually police they were talking to online. When the men made their way to meet up with the fictitious girl, police jumped in, pulled their vehicles over, and arrested them. There are separate cases, but both men are in jail tonight facing felony charges of criminal solicitation and unlawful contact with a minor.
An Alabama man facing felony charges in Cambria County, accused of raping a woman in East Taylor Township Monday morning. Court documents say the victim told police Patrick Watson removed her clothes and forced himself on top of her. Documents say another woman was in the room at the time and ran to get help. When they went to question Watson, police say he denied any sexual contact at first, but then said the two had been intimate throughout the night. Watson is in jail on $50,000 bail. An Arizona mother is behind bars in Somerset County accused of endangering her 3 young children. Police say they were called to the Super 8 motel in Somerset last week after a child was found wandering around naked. Police say they found the child's mother, Vivian Ephraim, in a nearby hotel room. Documents say that room smelled like marijuana and 2 other small children inside. Police say they also found baggies of marijuana and a partially lit joint within reach of children. Police say Ephraim has a warrant from Arizona for a court violation.
Construction work in Jackson Township, Cambria County appears to still be halted after a tragic accident last week. The coroner, Jeff Lees, tells us that 23-year-old Ty McCloskey of Washington County was killed when he was hit in the head with a piece of suspended equipment. It happened along Adams Avenue near the Jackson Township Fire Company. McCloskey and his crew were working for Merlo and North American Directional, drilling lines related to the Competitive Powers Ventures Fairview Energy plant when it happened. OSHA is investigating. Well, there are just 28 days left until the midterm elections.
And tonight is the last day to register to vote here in Pennsylvania. Dylan Richards is digging into some of the registration data. Dylan, what are you finding?
Well, there's some interesting trends. As we all know, President Trump critically carried Pennsylvania in 2016, but this year the Democrats running for statewide re-election are ahead in the polls.
Tuesday is the last day you can register to vote before the midterm elections, when all of Pennsylvania's members of Congress, one of our senators, and our governor are all seeking another term representing us. But voting levels in midterm years, when there's not a presidential election, is significantly lower than other years. For example, according to the Census Bureau, only 40% of voting-age Pennsylvanians voted in the last midterm in 2014. That's less than 20% of young people and about 3/4 of people over 60. In the meantime, the Keystone State is a key state nationally, with control of Congress possibly resting on a few races here. That comes after PA went for Trump in 2016 by 128,000 votes, after going for Obama by 309,000 in 2012. And our 10 counties have slowly gotten redder since 2008. 25,000 Democrats changed their registration to Republican in our area. Just 9,000 did the reverse. Local Democrats telling people focus on local races.
If you don't like Trump, or if you like him, vote on the candidates who are running locally. And to me, that's very important. That's what we're trying to tell everybody.
Meantime, local Republicans hoping our ruby red 10 counties will stay that way.
This area, was went very strongly for Trump. And one of the things, if you step back and look, he's really delivered on every promise that he's made.
Again, tonight is the deadline to register to vote here in Pennsylvania. You have until 11:59 p.m. And again, an interesting thing, the site Real Clear Politics has our governor's race and our Senate race, both rated as likely Dem. Dylan Richards, 6 News.
Well, there's an old saying that you never really understand someone else's perspective until you've walked a mile in their shoes.
County and local government officials in Johnstown put that saying to the test today. However, there wasn't any walking going on. Instead, they all used wheelchairs. Our Haley DeBetta joins us now with more details. Haley?
Tim and Jen, Barb's Lotney Miss Wheelchair Pennsylvania 2018 wants to bring awareness to just how difficult it is for some to navigate sidewalks in downtown Johnstown like this one. And she wanted officials to experience it from her perspective.
All right, guys. We are going down this. I shouldn't have to think about accessibility. It should just be there. I shouldn't have to think about my safety while navigating a city.
Visiting the city of Johnstown isn't a second thought for many, but for Barb Zalotny, it is.
I typically don't even come downtown Johnstown because when I'm up by myself, because it is just such an obstacle.
Zablotny, now 32, became wheelchair bound after a car accident when she was 21. Since then, she has worked to raise awareness about wheelchair accessibility. Tuesday, she showed local and government officials just how difficult it is to navigate downtown Johnstown in a wheelchair.
Sidewalks are one, parking is another, and the curb cutouts especially too. They are not safe.
She thought the best way to show them was through her perspective.
Very tough coming up there. I can feel for people that have to deal with this every day. The arm strength and just, being able to come up that incline. You don't realize how hard that is.
Officials experience firsthand just how challenging it is to get around downtown in a wheelchair.
I'm sitting here thinking, without any user experience, if I just get momentum, I can pop that no problem. And then here I was going forward and backward and all over the place. We see that as a curb cut, and as a planner, we think, oh, we've done our job. But no, the grade is not great. It wasn't smooth, and it's a little scary.
Zlotny knows change will take time, but she's hopeful.
I understand it's not going to happen overnight. I understand that completely. But, if it happens in the next decade, then I did something good.
Officials used different wheelchairs today. Some were standard, while other ones had upgrades that make going on sidewalks like this one a little more easier. There are no official plans currently in place to make downtown Johnstown accessible for wheelchairs. Reporting live in Johnstown, Haley DeBetta, 6 News.
Still ahead, the search for gold continues in Elk County. We'll tell you why some people are challenging the FBI.
And Penn State has begun preparations for Michigan State this Saturday in Happy Valley. Here from head coach James Franklin coming up later in 6 Sports.